If I had to start all over, if I didn't have the more than 500 podcast episodes, if I didn't have the thousands of gigs I've played, the relationships I've made, if I had none of that and I had to start all over building a creative career, what would I do? How would I do it? Well, I'm going to show you the 5 things that I wish I had done when I had started, and the 5 things you can do to start, build, or grow your creative career in 2025 and beyond in this episode of the God and Gigs Show. Give me just a moment to welcome those of you who are new to our show, and then we'll get right into this super important discussion. Hello and welcome to our show. Thank you so much for making this podcast a part of your creative day. If you're new to our show, thank you for joining us, and you are in the right place at the right time. As a creative musician, freelancer who wants to thrive in your everyday life by connecting the dots between your spiritual life and your creative life. Well, I'm going to share today what I wish I had done all those years ago when I started my career, basically coming out of college with no idea how to create a music career, how to create a full-time creative career, not knowing all the ins and outs of business, all the ins and outs of getting gigs, getting opportunities. What would I have done differently if I knew then what I know now? Well, there's 5 things, as I mentioned, and I want you to take these 5 things and apply them to your own career. Even if you're midway through your career, if you're restarting, if you've taken a pause and you want to get things going again in the new year, this is going to help you by helping you eliminate and avoid the mistakes that I made back when I was starting. So if I was going to start my career right now in 2025 or beyond, there's one thing I would focus on right away. It would be to focus on the quality of my gigs and not the quantity of my gigs. You see, when I first started out, and most creators when we start out, we're just looking for work anywhere we can get it. We grab the first thing that comes to our attention, the first thing on the internet. We go online. We try to find anything we can that will pay us. And sometimes it works, and we get on the hustle and we get gig after gig after gig and opportunity and performance and audition after audition. And we just jump at anything. Here's the problem with that. Sometimes the success is actually your biggest mistake and the biggest obstacle, because if you're getting all of these opportunities and maybe you're busy, but you're not focusing on the quality of what you're getting, you're actually fooling yourself into thinking you're starting off right, when actually you're just taking anything that's coming and you're not focusing on what you actually want out of your creative career. So what's happening is you're just getting on a hamster wheel, and that happened to me. I got on a hamster wheel of taking any gig I could, any genre I could, and it really didn't matter what it was until I realized I was burning myself out super early in my career. Had I been more concerned about the quality of the gigs, now let me be clear, this doesn't mean that every first gig you're going to get is going to be the top paying one, but it does mean you start to pay close attention to what you say yes to and what you say no to, and when you say yes, you do it with both eyes open. You're not just taking gigs just to take them because they're available. Because every time you say yes to something, you say no to something else that could have been better. So you make more clear commitments to the things that actually move your career forward. If you're restarting your career, getting things up and running again, trying to do things better next year, make sure you focus on quality over quantity. The second thing I wish I had done back when I started and that I would do now is that I wish I had built better connections. I wish I had maintained those relationships that I started once again on that hustle train of taking all the gigs and all the opportunities. Because the problem is, all I was doing is just running in, performing, playing, doing the job, and leaving. Never really connecting with the people who were hiring me, never really understanding the business, never checking out the venues, never understanding how the business actually worked. I was just taking anything I could get. And had I been more intentional about building connections with the right kind of people, asking them questions, seeing how the gig was booked, asking them who else I could work with, I wouldn't have been spinning my wheels so fast. I wouldn't have been spinning my wheels with no direction. So what I would suggest to you is as you start or restart or get back into the game, in the new year. Make sure that you're focusing on building and keeping those connections maintained and fresh by asking questions, by not simply calling people when there's a gig or when there's an opportunity, but just checking up on them, being relational. Building relationships has been the glue that has made my career blossom over the past 10 to 15 years. And if I had done that sooner, things would have been a lot different. I wouldn't have had so many headaches as I tried to make it as a full-time creative musician and performer. Now, the third thing I'm going to share with you is going to sound a little counterintuitive to what most people say. Most people want you to niche down and only do one thing. But I would recommend that you embrace your versatility. Now, I don't mean try to do all the things, but I do mean lean into those things that show how unique your talent is and how versatile you are when it comes to your creative abilities. Now, in my case, what I realized is my ability to teach and my ability to perform and play should have been united a lot sooner. I would have paid more attention to the fact that I light up when I'm sharing information, just like I'm doing here. I might have started podcasting sooner. I might have written my books sooner. I might have interacted with different people and created different opportunities to perform sooner. But I just thought everything had to fit in the box of performance and playing piano. And I missed out on the versatility of the skill sets that I was developing. So you see, what I'm asking you to do and telling you is a good idea in the next year is to embrace your other skills. Maybe there are ways that you can do things that aren't the same as everybody else around you. And that is actually your superpower. And if you do that, you will actually be ahead of those who are simply trying to make it in the industry the old-fashioned way or the same route that everybody else takes. So embrace your versatility, embrace your unique gifts, and see if that's the pathway to a profitable and powerful, impactful, creative career that will not be stuck in the rut of just chasing after the same thing that everybody else is doing. The fourth thing I would have done is I would have gotten my business right from the beginning. And when I say getting my business right, I mean actually the business. I mean the money, the profit, the taxes, the accounting, the banking. All of that stuff was not in my head when I started. And if you are starting your new career, relaunching your creative career, your musical career in 2025, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not do anything before you sit down and work out your business. Now, this does not mean you need to get a full business plan from an accountant or a business coach before you start. But it does mean you need to think about these things. And that might mean you do need to get a coach. You do need to listen to some business development strategies. You do need to get some books like Profit First, which we recommend on our God and Gigs book channel, our recommendations right there at godandgigs.com/books. You want to get that in order, because what's going to happen if you don't do this first, if you don't step back and say, what are my business plans? Where am I going to earn money? How am I going to save money? How am I going to pay my taxes? What's my profit margin going to be? What do I need to invest in? If you don't sit back and ask yourself these questions, what you're going to end up doing is doing a lot of work and having nothing to show for it. I know. And if I was starting again today, I would start with understanding my numbers, understanding the tax advantage that I could get from incorporating my business, from making sure that I was doing things by the book. Musicians, creatives, you're missing out on so many opportunities and benefits of being a business owner because you're just running around there with a freelance mindset. God and Gigs does not mean gigs have to be outside of the business framework. And if you combine the two, it's a powerful connection that will bring you more joy and an ability to keep your funds, to keep your income protected over time. But if you don't start with this, it's a heck of a lot harder to step back and try to fix things later. So if I was starting today, I would start by getting my business right from the get-go. And kind of on that same tack, number 5, I would have invested in the right things. And if you're starting in 2025 or anytime, please make sure you invest in the right things. This does not mean getting the most expensive camera or keyboard or guitar or instrument. Getting everything top dollar is not the point. As a matter of fact, I'm recording on some equipment right now that you could probably purchase via my website or Amazon store. We have a list of all of our podcasting equipment, and I'm guaranteeing you it's probably not more than $2,000 total. Now, that does not mean also that you should skimp on the right things. Maybe you can get the right kind of equipment for less money, but then you need to invest in the right mindset, in the right education, investing in coaching, investing in memberships. These are some of the purchases I made, the courses that taught me how to do email, the software subscriptions to things like Kit, our email first operating system for our business, and the mentorship we've received from people like LaShonda Brown and Shane Sams. Those courses and all of that, investing in the right things, which I didn't do at the beginning, by the way. I didn't invest in any of those things until later when I realized I could be doing better. And that is when my business started to become a real business and when my creativity took on a whole new level of impact and influence. So if you want that in your new year, do not stop investing. Make sure you start by investing in the right things. Don't just pour all your money into anything. Investigate. Talk to people like us in our God and Gigs 360 community. That's a great place for you to start. Or any community where people are actually saying, here's who I learned from. Here's my mentor. Here are the software tools that I use. And follow the blueprints that are necessary to make sure you don't fall off with this kind of go at it with no plan and just running at everything, doing all the gigs and not really making headway. That's what's going to happen if you start without making sure you're investing in the right tools and the right tips that come from the mentors and the community that you really need to make it in the creative business. Well, my friend, I hope that has helped you. That was a quick 5-step process that I would follow if I was starting today. I would absolutely make sure I'm focusing on quality and not quantity. I would build and maintain connections. I would embrace my versatility. I would get my business set from the very beginning with the right things when it comes to finances. And I would have invested in the right tools and tips from the right people. Well, if you are thinking about starting that career next year, whenever that is, in the next 6 months, 3 months, in the next 3 minutes, whenever that is, make sure you follow these tips and stay connected with us on this channel. Subscribe to this channel and this app so that you can stay connected with us no matter what we're sharing so that you can thrive in your creative career throughout your next few years, months, or decades. We believe you have been brought here for a reason, and that's why we're trying to help you. So until next time, continue to become the creative that you were created to be. God bless, and I'll see you next episode. My friend, thank you for watching this episode. If that blessed you, you got to make sure that you stay connected with this community and this channel so that you can get more where that came from. We're sharing great interviews, tactics, strategies, mindsets, lifestyle choices, everything that's going to help you become a totally confident creative. And don't miss an episode of the God and Gig Show. If you are staying connected to our channel, you'll be able to find us anytime we release new episodes. And you can check out some of our archives of almost 200 episodes now that we've shared over the last few years. Make sure you check out one of the suggestions right now because it's probably perfect for you to continue to develop as a creative. And continue to stay connected with us because we're here to help you become the creative that God created you to be. We'll see you in the next episode.